Now, I was actually just talking about this on my Discord while I was watching this episode. Hondo would be nowhere near as interesting of a character if not for the fact that he was voiced by Jim Cummings. That's my opinion, of course, but I'm curious if anyone else feels that way. Because he's kind of a scumbag. His one great strength, other than being voiced by Jim Cummings, is his recurrent nature. Although I have to be honest, I wonder how much the writers were inspired by Don Carnage when they were writing this guy. But anyways, so they have to choose a lightsaber. It must be the one that fits with you, and the lightsaber chooses you, and it's wands from Harry Potter. But anyways, I don't mind. Again, I like the idea that lightsabers can be either something you construct or something that you form a permanent metaphysical bond with. Hell, even if magic didn't exist in the setting, in the case of the Force, it would still be interesting for people to have a particular attachment. That's strange. A particular attachment to a given lightsaber that they built. I'm sure you guys understand that. I've pulled this up a couple of times with the fruit thing. There's a little bowl. You make it with lathing. You put it on a thing and you turn it around and you cut it and then you shine it down, right? This was actually made by my dad, not me. But it has more significance than some random knickknack I picked up at the shop because my dad made it for me. And I personally love making things and love crafting things. In fact, one of the things that there's so many things I want to do myself in the long term. I want to write, I want to make music, I want to design games. I want to make stuff. So it's obvious, it's so easy to understand that kind of automatic connection from just having made stuff, right? Anyways, so Hu Yang is awesome, the droid. What's funny is I was listening to him and I'm like, that's David Tennant. And I don't think that ever clicked with me before. Like, I don't think I ever basically cared enough about David Tennant as an actor prior to this particular rewatch, because I haven't watched this series in many years, in order to really be like, oh my god, that's David Tennant. Now, it's funny because regardless of Doctor Who, I am actually quite a big Tennant fan. He is an excellent actor, and I really enjoy his style. And I enjoyed it here, too. And it's funny, because in hindsight, it's like, well, no wonder I liked Hu Yang so much, given his voice. Do you guys think they memory wipe him? On a regular basis, or at all? I don't think they do personally. I think he actually has developed personality, sentience, and sapience over droid effect over the course of however long he's been on the ship. Which reminds me, the idea of a lightsaber crafting ship is so awesome sounding, but I do have to wonder if they have any kind of backups for any of this anywhere. I also have to wonder at their total lack of security. A pirate ship shows up in spitting distance in spatial terms, and then has a chance to actually attack them before they notice anything. What the hell were they doing? Bonus question, why weren't they in hyperspace to begin with? Just weird thought. I mean, it's not like you can't do stuff on a ship in hyperspace. Hyperspace trips still take a while, right? Anyways, and yes, I noticed that it's the Tor ship. It's cool, whatever. So, Hondo's awesome in his own way, but I do have to find myself wondering, who would buy Kyber crystals? Remember, Kyber crystals aren't really useful to anybody unless those people happen to be Force users. So, it's not their utility that makes them useful, it's their rarity. Now, I'm not saying that rare things that are useless are not valuable, because we have plenty of examples in real life, but I really do find myself wondering, and I'm fascinated by the concept of who would buy a Kyber crystal, because at that point, it's basically just a curio. Just a little thing you make, and it's like, here's a Kyber crystal. Well, that's cool, I guess. Anyways. Why was Ahsoka alone on this mission? Like, last mission she had Yoda backing her up, so that made a bit of sense. But now she's on the ship by herself. In fact, the total crew is her, R2, Hu Yang, the droid, and the kids. And that's it. That's the whole crew. Where the hell is everybody? You'd think, especially since we've already had happen in this show, an attempt by the Sith to take children and morph them into dark side puppets, you'd think they'd have a little bit more security. At least some actual Jedi involved, or maybe a proper crew. Or, I don't know, an escort. Anyways. I also find it interesting. Hondo is... I would almost say he's a little bit out of character in this episode, but I suppose that's debatable. He goes straight up full villain in this one. He is willing to kill children, which is already kind of messed up, and he is willing to kill children and everyone else on board to secure the kyber crystals. He says as much to Ahsoka. He could be lying, of course, but that is debatable. He also decides to go in a one-on-one fight with Ahsoka, who is dual-wielding lightsabers. Aha. He is lucky that her plan actually involved pushing him and the rest out of the airlock rather than her killing him, because I'm pretty sure she could. Anyways. And then, speaking of which, I get that they have to do the, kids using their wits to defeat the enemy thing, but the lightsaber blowing up thing was just, in my opinion, a very poorly constructed scenario. It took too long to happen. It was telegraphed repeatedly over and over again. And then it was like reverse telegraphed, in which case I was like, oh wow, they're actually subverting expectations. That would be cool. But then they didn't. Because we love subverting expectations in Star Wars, right? But no, what I thought they were going to do is the kid was like, aha, I'll get you. And then he's like, oh no, it's going to blow up. And then they cover him and it blows up. So in other words, he in his arrogance decided to go ahead and just try to fight the people with a lightsaber and sort of forgot or mistook or just thought he could force it to work, despite the loop error with the circuitry that was mentioned earlier, and then it blows up and coincidentally helps saving them. Like, that would make sense to me in its own way. Instead, no, it's just a bad scene. So Hondo has decided to take Ahsoka captive in order to make up the profit that he lost. Sometimes I wonder how much Hondo operates an actual budget. I know that sounds like a strange statement, because the way he's talking here, it makes it sound like he is basically operating at a loss, especially right now, and as a consequence, needs to make up for that somehow. As opposed to, I want more money because I'm greedy, and therefore I want more money because I'm greedy. I'm not sure which it is, but I mean, this is a guy who was just willing to kill children and attack the Jedi to make a little bit of money on the side, so whatever. We will, of course, see the conclusion of this next time. But before I stop, really quick, I just want to say really quick. A wood lightsaber sounds really cool. In fact, as a quick aside, when they were, I actually mentioned that earlier, when they were showing all the lightsabers and the making of them, my first thought was, why don't we see more variety of lightsabers over the years? I mean, yes, each lightsaber is a little bit different, like if you actually look at the props and that they were actually using for the shows and the movies. But for the most part, there's really just the same general style. You got the saber, right? And then you got the curved one Dooku used. Then you got the staff, and that's basically it. I would love to see, especially some more talented art designers than me, to actually really take a crack at designing some unique and interesting lightsabers. Because I think there's a lot more you could do with that rather than just bzz. Anyways, now I'm chopping out for real. See you next time.